Hey everyone, this is Gary. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome to this week's live Investor Agent Path to Prosperity webinar. And welcome also to all the students who are in the Flipping for Profits program, rental profits without the pain, turning rental problems into real estate profits. That's property management, and also wholesaling, of course. So welcome aboard. We will get started here in just a second, but let me first make sure that everybody is okay on the technology end of things. So hang on one second. Okay. Can you see my screen and hear my voice? So if you can let me know that, guys, that'd be great. And I will check the attendance roster here too in a second. So it looks like everybody's good so far. All right. Hey, we got a lot of new folks here. Raymond, good to see you, buddy. I want to see if Larry's on. A few folks will come in from different channels, different avenues, YouTube and things like that. So let me go check the attendee list. Let's go up top here. Derek, good to see you. John, Kathleen, Marianne Von Roth. Marianne, how you doing? My gosh, Marianne, give me a call. Set up a strategy call, okay? I don't think we've spoken for quite a while, and I hope you're doing well. Let's see, Michelle, good to see you. Pam, good to see you, Pam. Raymond, Richard, Robert, Robert Lathan, Robert Usake. Hey, Robert, how you doing, buddy? To hear Amica. Hey, Robert Usdike, I haven't actually forgotten about you. There was one text you sent asking how you could get a hold of one or two of the booklets, not the ones through My Investment Services, but on KWU, the university website. I found it before. It's kind of cryptic how you get there, but actually you go to where their publishing site is, where they talk about their publishing and all the books that they have. So if you go into KW, you can go internally, mykw.com, or mykw@kw.com, excuse me. And in there, where you see all the books, Gary Keller's Obvious, the red book, the blue book, Hold, Flip, Shift, the one thing, they're all in there. But there's also the other publications that are paid or non-paid publications. In other words, they're open. Basically, I forget the term, Robert, but it's you have the right to reproduce that material and brand it to be your own. And I've seen a number of agents do this over the years, and it does work. So when I should have time this weekend, I've just been traveling on the weekends. Normally on my weekends I can do stuff like that. This weekend I'll be able to do that. If you haven't found it yet, just let me know and I'll be able to get that for you. So in any case, let me reduce the attendee panel here, guys, and check the question box. Everybody should be okay. Everybody's good so far. Let me check if you have questions now, guys, regardless of the subject matter tonight, please go ahead and type them in. And I'll get to those questions first. Tonight's subject, by the way, what we're going to do is this: we've recently gone over the booklet and the letter. We've also gone over how do you actually go through the sequence of steps of working with an investor. There's basically a behavioral pattern you develop. Well, what we didn't go over is when it comes time to looking at the properties themselves, what do you actually do? We've done some financial analysis. We'll do more of that in another, maybe like next week or something. What I want to do tonight is go over the physical analysis of a property. I'm going to walk you through the exact steps you're going to walk through with your clients, through the forms and everything. That's what we're going to do tonight, okay? But real quick, let's see. We have a question from Tahira. Hi, Tahira, how are you doing? Good to see you. All right, Tahira is asking, in the investor booklet, should I use my broker name logo or my investment group logo, since I have a boutique firm which includes property management and other services? Okay, good question, Tahira. So when you're using a booklet, if you want to attract clients, are you attracting them to your boutique firm with property management, or you're attracting them to yourself as a broker for your brokerage company through just sales, helping them buy and sell properties? Because the answer to that question is going to give you the answer to your question, which is which brokerage company you put under which logo. Just bear in mind this: no matter where you are, in every state, every province I've been to, um, if you're not the broker yourself, you have to use somewhere on that document, you've got to use the broker's contact information. In a lot of cases, the broker's name, the logo and the name of the brokerage company, Keller Williams, Remax, Coldwell Banker, what have you, has to be a bigger font than your name. Okay. Now, I may not understand your question completely, but it sounds like you got your own boutique brokerage firm. I'm assuming that's separate from the normal brokerage firm you have your license with, which is okay. In some states, you can, like in Virginia, for example, if you have a broker's license, you can have your license with a number of different offices. They don't even have to be in the same brokerage company, okay? So for those of you wondering why we're having this conversation, that's because this is actually possible and it does happen. And for me personally, I know, I had my own brokerage company years ago. I merged that with Keller Williams, but we kept property management separate. We had to for legal reasons. Separate companies, separate broker IDs, separate broker of record, separate email policy, separate tax ID, everything completely separate. So we leveraged both. We basically referred back and forth, actually, which is kind of nice. Got a lot more money that way. But what I'm getting at is this is, if you're attracting clients to your property management company, you should use that logo if you're doing property management marketing. If you're attracting people to you as an agent, helping them buy and sell the properties, then you should use that brokerage company's logo and name. So hopefully, Tahira, I've understood your question correctly and answered it for you. Let me just see if we get some feedback here. Okay, so far we're good. So let's do this, guys. What I want to do is jump into the nice material. Real quick though, before I do, I've got to do a little bit of housekeeping. If you could make sure, no matter if you're watching this live or you're watching this in recorded mode, always grab the email from Beverly the very next day, because it's going to contain important information for you. In other words, sometimes we update the platforms, we update the systems, and sometimes I help them do that. Sometimes MIS does it on their own, but I did help build that. I'm the lead trainer, of course, and director of the product development for that company. So, in any case, sometimes there's updates. There's also updates to the schedule, either additional dates for webinars or class dates or changes thereof, and also the 3-day events. So, of course, the next one's coming up in a couple of weeks, right here in Anaheim. And most of you are going, by the way, so that's great. I look forward to seeing you there again. Anaheim, April 5th, 6th, and 7th, Anaheim, Marriott. The next one, we actually did settle on the date jointly with My Investment Services for June 14th, 15th, and 16th up in South Bay, San Jose area, South Bay area of San Francisco Bay Area. So keep your eyes posted for that. If you're not in Southern California and you want to go to that one, or you didn't make this one, you want to go up there, just take the 5 or 6 hour drive. And it's easy to get to, guys. Great area. Great airport, too, by the way, if you want to fly. And beautiful part of the country. So in any case, that's my housekeeping for the day. So let's go ahead and jump into some content. All right, first things first, what I want to do is this. I want to show you the forms we use when we go through proper property analysis, the physical analysis, okay? So you're going to log into the members area. Always start with myinvestorservices.com. Go to the members area, hit your enter key, and you will get this next screen. And then you want to click on members, click to log into the server here. That's where all by default server member. Remember, I'm a product of the product. I went through the pilot program initially, and I've been doing this ever since. So click on server level, log in there. Now my computer's already got this, so I'm in automatically. You may have to go to your login screen first and type in your login and password. But regardless, once you're there, on the left-hand side under My Investment Services, the big blue panel on the left, you want to drag the bar down, the sidebar, go down to where it says, excuse me, analysis forms and calculators for training modules, okay? So in any case, click on that. And down here, you will see, we're just going to go over 2 forms tonight. The first one is property inspection report. The second is property rehabilitation analysis form. The first form is literally where you're just simply taking notes. So just to give you the framework here, where we are right now is this. assuming you've already got yourself a prospect, you've interviewed them, they've signed agency agreements with you, they're now a client, and you fed them properties to look at, and they've done their desktop analysis and done drive-bys, and you narrowed this down to the final 6 properties. That's the average. 6 properties on average we look at for every one transaction. Okay, assuming that, this is the assumption. We're assuming we're at that point right now in the game. If you're brand new to the program here and you're wondering, well, okay, I haven't done that part so far, all you have to do, guys, is go over here where it says weekly Q&A webinars. Okay, you click on that, and in here you got, they're a little bit behind loading up the webinars. They're about a month behind here, but every single webinar that I've ever done for My Investment Services is on here. Every single one, logged and cataloged by subject type. You can go in here and click on anything you want and learn anything you want about any one of, probably, I don't know, my gosh, it's been 4 years, over 200 different subjects. This is, you get this as part of your training. You don't have to pay for it, it's just part of what you get. But it's in addition to all the normal training modules. Your training modules are on your digital chalk system. This is on the My Investment Services website. But all these webinars, you can go in, click on, and learn anything you want, okay? So don't feel like you're behind or anything like that. You're not behind. You're every day we bring in new students, and we just start you off right where you are. So anyways, back to calculators, forms, analysis, forms, and spreadsheets. First thing you'll do is you'll click on property inspection report, and I've already done that, so I'm going to bring it up down here. Okay. Property inspection report. Hang on one second. Okay, this is the first form we use when we go through the physical analysis of a property. All right, property inspection report. You'll notice there's no numbers or dollars on this. All we're doing is simply going through the different parts of a property and identifying different components, things that we believe are deferred maintenance, whatever the case is. We're going to notify them good, fair, poor. Right here it says unsatisfactory, estimated cost, leave that blank for now. We're going to go through this literally step by step, fill this out, and then the next one we're going to bring up is the property rehabilitation analysis form, property rehab form. So we'll bring that up. I'll go ahead and load this up. That way we'll have it ready for us when we get to it. Okay, so let me turn on editing. All right, once we have the information form, right? So once we do the information form here, we take all these notes, then go fill in the rehab form. And this is where we do start to put in more specific details when it comes to dollars and cents. All right, so that's the 2 forms. We're going to start with the property information form first. So let's assume we're with the client, or you yourself are the investor, and you're going down the first street to go look at the first property, okay? We'll just walk you through with the exact steps we go through as if we're doing this live right now with the consumer, okay? This is how you have to do this. And I suggest you practice this too, by the way, on your own, all right? All right, the first thing we look at are the grounds. We don't ever step foot in the building until we've actually gone around the property to look at the outside grounds. There's lots of reasons for this. Now remember, we've already, or our clients have already done the drive-bys. Either us ourselves as investors have done that, or our clients have done it. So we already know the neighborhood is passable, right? We're now looking at the subject property. So as we drive down the street, you've got typically a sidewalk, trees, shrubs, what have you, and you've got mailboxes, okay? Assuming you're driving down the street, looking right now, you're identifying the property 4 houses away, now 3 houses away, now 2 houses away, now 1 house away. Instantly, your eyes are drawn to the house itself, and as a result, you're also going to pick up the trees and the landscaping, and also, more importantly, when you pull your car over, the first thing you're going to see when you get out is typically the mailbox, okay? So what we're talking about here is landscaping, and we consider the mailbox part of landscaping. So just note here, mailbox needs to be replaced, or it looks like it's brand new, whatever the case is. You're just making notes at this point, all right? We also want to take a note of the flower beds, the mulch beds, things like that. Shrubbery, trees. Anything that's dead, we need to make sure we identify that needs to be yanked or replaced. If shrubbery's overgrown, we got to notate that, and eventually we may cut it back or cut them out and replace them. Okay. We're also going to walk around to the back of the property. We're going to look at the sides, if there's any fencing. I personally don't like fencing. If every single house on a street has fencing, then I'll keep the fencing that's there. But if not every house has fencing, in fact, if it's the minority and the fencing is like old or rusted or needs to be painted or needs to be repaired, I got to tell you guys, I'm generally just going to take the thing down. Okay. Um, it's usually a cleaner look when you don't have a fence. Okay. So you take the fence down, it seems to open things up. The yard looks bigger, okay, and they can see more of the landscaping, the shrubbery, and so forth. All right. So, but let's just say the fence is there, and everybody has a fence, and we're going to keep it. I might have to put in here the thing needs to be painted, for example. In any case, we're also looking for sheds, like storage sheds, swing sets, swimming pools. Now, I'm in Southern California right now, and every other house has a pool, right? Same thing in Florida. Um, Again, I generally prefer not to have pools, with one exception. If I'm in a neighborhood and everybody has pools, well, you better have a pool in that neighborhood, okay? Especially when it comes to resale. So in any case, what I'm looking for is the overall condition. I'm going to notate that on the report. Again, it's same thing with the shed as with the fence. If the shed is looking pretty old and sad, I'm probably going to take the thing down, guys. You know, I used to have a shed. I think they're an eyesore, quite frankly, right? Now you can get some very decorative, very appealing looking sheds, but if it needs to be painted, needs to be repaired, I'm probably just going to take the thing down. All right, it's going to open up the yard space and it looks a lot more appealing and pleasant. When it comes to the swing sets, same thing. If it's one of the old metal, like stainless steel or aluminum swing sets, and it's showing signs of rust and there's pieces missing and parts missing, I'm just going to get rid of it. What it does is it opens up the yard. Okay. Now, on the other hand, if I know I'm selling a 4-bedroom, I'm going to flip a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, which is going to attract a family. And every other house in the neighborhood has swing sets. I'm probably going to keep the swing set if I can. If it's real bad, I'm just going to just make the note that I'm going to get rid of it. The other thing we look at here is this. We're going to go walk around the building. That's the second category here. We're going to look at the building itself from the exterior. All right. I know it says roof on here. I don't know about you guys, but I don't climb up on roofs anymore. I found out that as the older I get, the more easily I break when I fall. So what I'll do is this: I'll always take binoculars with me, and always have a good camera with a good lens. And what I'll do is I'll find the highest vantage point to look at the roof. I might not be able to look at the front side as easily as I can look at the back side or vice versa, but that's okay. I'm looking for overall condition. I'm going to take zoom in pictures of shingles that are missing, or if we have shingles that are curling or shingles that are getting pitted and pocked. That generally is a roof that needs to be replaced, okay? But regardless, I'm going to look through the binoculars first and look for signs of the deferred maintenance or needed repair, including the soffit and fascia all around the edge of the roof, okay? And take pictures and make notes of all that kind of stuff, all right? I'm also going to be looking at the chimney, if there is a chimney. On chimneys, we're looking at the brickwork and the mortar. If there's missing mortar, then that means the chimney probably needs to be pointed, and you're going to make note of that, okay? We're also looking at the exterior of the window and door frames, okay? Because a lot of times, even if you have brick or aluminum siding or vinyl siding, a lot of times the wrapping around the windows and doors is still wood, okay? I like to rack them completely in aluminum. When I flip a house, guys, and when I build a house for myself, I don't want any exposed wood anywhere. I want to either be all brick or brick and aluminum around all the soffit, fascia, and all the door and window frames, okay? But regardless, you're going to make note of all of those exterior components, okay? You also want to take a note of the foundation. Now, it doesn't matter if you're on a crawl space, on a slab, or you have an actual full basement. There's always a foundation to a house, and underneath the foundation is what we call the footer. You're never going to be able to see the footer unless you've got the place completely dug up, because the footer is typically underneath or way underground, in most cases 3 feet down, okay? So in any case, I'm looking at the foundation, and what I'm looking for on whenever there's a full basement is I'm looking for cracks in the foundation walls. Sometimes it's concrete blocks. Sometimes it's brick. There's brick over top of the concrete block. But regardless, I'm looking for cracks. And here's what I'm looking for specifically. Excuse me. Um, if I have a crack that's wider up top and narrower at the bottom, that generally is a result of water infiltrating from a bad window frame or a bad door frame. And I'm okay with that because that can be easily remedied, easily fixed, okay? But if you have a crack that's narrower up top and wider as it goes down, that's generally a sign of a serious problem, like a cracked footer or a footer is actually dropped or separated underneath the foundation. That's a big deal, guys. And generally speaking, even if you do repair it, you're looking at easily in the thousands of dollars. I mean, for every 5 feet, you generally have to have what's called a footer brace. You literally, they drill down, they go down to the ground, subterranean, and they put this jack underneath the footer, and they jack that thing up until the pressure is equalized, and they believe it's not going to move anymore. And you'd be shocked at how much that kind of stuff costs, but people do it, okay? I'm also looking for walls that are bowing in, okay? If they're bowing in, or even bowing out for that matter, generally you got to straighten that wall out. And we use what's called pins. They're pins. So it's like a big giant screw, like a big bolt. And on either end is a plate. One plate's on the inside of the wall, and one plate is out in the ground outside the house, maybe 5 feet out. And they torque those plates to pull the wall to level, to be straight, excuse me, to pull the wall to be level, perpendicular. In any case, what I'm getting at is you just want to identify these things at this point, okay? And by the way, my personal rule is this: if I'm analyzing a property and I've got 3 or more major components that need to be repaired, I'm probably going to bypass the property. In other words, if it needs a roof, if it's got a bad foundation, and I go on the inside and the kitchen needs to be gutted and replaced, that's 3 big items. Even though I can make the deal work financially on paper, I know I can make the right offer, do the remodeling, all that. It's just the chances are I'll be able to find another property somewhere that needs less work. And the reason I say this is this. I know some of you have flipped out there, right? You've flipped homes before. I will promise you you'll be happier if you flip properties that have smaller rehab projects. In other words, I would rather pay more for a property and have a smaller rehab project than pay less for a property and have a bigger rehab project. The reason is there's a lot of risk. The bigger the rehab project, the more risk there are. Cost overruns, project delays, all kinds of things happen. So I'm looking for the smaller project relative to the overall profit of a property. That's just my own personal preference. And I suggest you think about that and apply that same principle to your business also. Okay, so now we've done the outside. We've satisfied ourselves. We're okay. We can look on the inside. It doesn't need a new roof. The foundation's okay. We're going to go to the inside. All right. First thing we do is we go right to the systems. All right, I know it's going to be tempting to go through all the bedrooms and the dining room and the bathrooms and the kitchen and all that kind of stuff. We're going to do that. But remember, what we're doing is we're looking at this from the big picture, narrowing down to the small picture. And as we do that, we're looking at big ticket items first, and then we narrow things down to the smaller ticket items. Okay, so roof is a big item. Foundation is a big item. Siding is a big item, right? Right. When it comes to the systems, HVAC systems, air conditioning, heating, if you got the old boilers with radiators, that's expensive. Hot water tanks, or if you have the on-demand hot water system, right? We're looking at all the systems first. We're going to make note of the overall condition of, in this case, for example, the furnace, okay? So if the furnace looks like it's brand spanking new, I'm going to be okay with that. However, if it has any sign at all of age, like in other words, around the corners, the corners and seams, if I see a slight bit of rust or oxidation, I'm gonna assume the furnace needs to be replaced. It may not need to be replaced, but I would rather err on the side of caution. I would rather build that figure into my estimate and not need it than to not build it in and find out I needed it later on, right? Because now it's too late. You got to fork out the money. Also on the valves, like gas valves, I'll look for signs of oxidation there and things like that. If the system is up and running, if the gas is on, electricity is on, I will actually turn that system on to execute it and see how it operates. And I'm going to be listening for noises, like particularly a loud banging noise. Guys, if you turn on a forced air gas furnace, and within a minute you hear a loud bang or a pop, often that's the heat exchanger that's been cracked. And whenever you have a cracked heat exchanger, you generally need to replace the furnace. It's just more cost effective just to replace the furnace. Okay, but those are the kind of things we're looking for. All right, so we look at all those systems, make note of all that, and then we move into um, built-ins, right? Now we go up into the kitchen. We're going to look at the built-in, if there's ovens, refrigerators, dishwashers, microwaves, things like that. We're looking at all of those built-in items, okay? We're going to make note of all that because, again, to outfit a kitchen can be easily several $1,000s. You know, if you get decent stuff, it's going to cost you some money, right? Like right now, I just taught in Calabasas today. Average home price is easily over $1 million. You know, we're not going to put in a $300 refrigerator in $1 million house. We'll put in, you know, a Viking or a Sub-Zero or a good Maytag or something like that. We'll put those types of appliances in there. And again, you're making note of all these big ticket items, right? The next thing we do is we're going to look at. By the way, I forgot one thing. I apologize. The electrical system, when we're down in the basement or wherever the utilities are, when we're looking at the furnace, air conditioning system, hot water tank, we're also going to look at the electrical panel, right? Now, what I look for is this right off the bat. I'm looking to see if it's a newer breaker panel with a 3-wire system, Romex wiring, which is, you know, hot, neutral, and ground. Okay. If I see the old glass fuses, even though they might be in good shape, I'm going to right away go look for the wiring that's coming out. And if it's not a grounded system, if I don't have, even if it has the old what's called BX wiring, not Romex, but BX, or it has hot and cold, and then a third line is for the grounding separately, I'm actually okay with that because it usually meets most inspections or passes most inspections. But the reality is I'm really going to be looking for the breaker panels. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. The reason is salability. When people come in, if they see the old glass fuse panels or the old push button breakers, it's going to scare them away, right? It's better just to have breaker panels, right? So anyways, back to the appliances. We talked about that. Now, when we're in the living area of the house, we're all going to be looking at the lighting, interior, exterior lighting, anything that's electrical tied to the panel, outlets and light switches. Okay, we're going to turn on all the lights, turn them back off again. I always keep a tester with me, a little 3-prong tester, and I plug it in to at least one outlet in every room. And I'm looking for proper readout. In other words, just a simple readout. 3 little lights show up, and if it's an ungrounded system, that'll show up. If it has reverse polarity, people wired it wrong, that'll show up because that's going to tell me I need to do work on that system. But I'm also looking at the lighting fixtures themselves. Like if a lighting fixture looks like it's pretty much new, I'll keep it. But if it's from 25 years ago, I'm going to probably replace it because if I'm flipping a home, if I'm buying a home, I want to see everything new. Even if it's an older home, I want to see the thing be remodeled, right? Everybody's the same way. Consumers, they want to, when they walk into a remodeled house and they see a brand new kitchen and bathroom, all of a sudden they see all these old ceiling fans. It could be a deterrent. It's going to turn them off, right? So I guess I'm going to replace all of those unless they're like within the last couple of years, right? Lighting fixtures, all that, plumbing fixtures. Let's talk about the kitchens and bathrooms. We've already talked about the appliances. What I'm doing now is I'm looking at the faucets themselves. Okay, I'm going to run the water, look at the drains, look for any leaking there. In the bathroom, I'll flush the toilet. I'll do all kinds of stuff on the plumbing system just to make sure it's working okay. And by the way, when I'm down in the basement, if there is a basement, I'm also looking for dampness around like the stacks and elbows, like where copper lines come together and there's like an elbow. I'm looking for any signs of moisture anywhere around those components. In any case, Back in the kitchen, when I was looking at the appliances, I'm also going to be looking at all the cabinetry. Okay. Um, a lot of times I'll replace a kitchen, but a lot of times I won't. And here's how I know the difference. Let's say the countertop is an old Formica countertop or the cheap stuff. If I'm flipping home, I'm going to definitely put granite in. The thing is, I might not need to replace the cabinetry. What I'll do is I'll go look at the base cabinetry, look underneath, and look at the wall cabinetry, look inside, look at the framework, and also look at the hinges. If they have the hidden hinges, I generally will keep the framework. If the door and drawer fronts look to be dated, I will only replace the door and drawer fronts. Okay. And what that does is think about it. If you replace the door and drawer fronts and you replace the countertop and the sink, by the way, and the faucet, most people just assume it's a brand new set of kitchen cabinetry, okay? Especially if you also replace the appliances. The point is you didn't have to rip out the entire kitchen and start from scratch. If you got a good solid base, keep the base. Just refinish it and put on brand new door and drawer fronts and door knobs too, okay? Door and drawer knobs. If I'm going to replace the counter, by the way, guys, I'm almost always going to replace the sink basin itself, right? So in any case, that's the kitchen. Same thing in the bathroom. I'm looking at the sink cabinet itself. I'm looking at the the medicine cabinet. Um, I'm also looking at the bathtub, but the bathtub is a new complete surround system. I'll just keep it. If it's older, what I generally would do is this: if it has one of the old surrounds, I'll rip it out and I'll replace it with tile. Tile is not as expensive as you may think it is, and it has a better look. And if the tub is in decent shape, I'll keep it. But if it's not, and it's an old cast iron tub, I can actually reglaze it. Any type of iron tub can just simply be reglazed, and it looks like it's brand new. If you were to to rip out a tub and replace all that with all the backing, you can run into easily thousands of dollars. So if you can keep the tub and reglaze it, you can generally reglaze it for about $400, all right, and retile this around for maybe 600. Okay, not that use the big tile, right? Also, if the shower head, the spigot, and the knobs are all old, I'm going to replace those too. Okay. Also, the flooring. I always put tile in the bathrooms and kitchens. Um, in any case, that's bathrooms and kitchens. Now, the next thing we're looking at is we're going through the individual rooms. Remember, I've already looked at the exterior of the property. Okay. So I've looked at the siding, I looked at the windows from the outside, looked at the doors from the outside. If the exterior doors are in good shape, I'm probably going to just keep them. If they're steel insulated doors, even if they're somewhat dated, I can take those down, blast them, and repaint them with a nice new glossy paint, or semi-gloss, excuse me, exterior paint, and replace the door and drawer knobs, and it looks like a brand new door. On the windows, what I'm looking for is vinyl clad, double pane, double hung windows. Okay, if they are vinyl clad, double hung, double pane, I'll keep them. If they're not, I'm probably going to replace them. Okay, but in any case, so look at that from the outside. Now what I'm doing is looking at it from the inside. So I'm inside now. I'm going to open the windows up and down, pull them in because I want them to be double hung, and make sure the locking mechanisms work, the latches work. Okay. Also, the glass needs to be clear. No fogging in the glass. Okay. If it's fogged up, you got to take care of it. At this point, I'm also looking at the closet doors, the interior doors, the bedroom doors. I'm looking at the switch plates, the light switches. I'm looking at the outlet plates. I'm also looking at I think I mentioned the doorknobs. Yeah, I mentioned that. The trim work, right, and also the overall paint condition of the paint and the condition of the carpeting. Um, we call that lipstick and rouge. Paint and carpet, lipstick and rouge. Almost always, I'm going to paint. I'm going to paint the rooms, unless they're like brand new painted and the colors are good colors. Carpet, same thing. That carpet needs to either be brand new or look like it's brand new. And if I can't make it look brand new from professional cleaning, I'm just going to replace the carpet. Okay. So in any case, that's what's next here is carpet. I don't do draperies. I don't do that kind of stuff on my flips. If they're there and they're in good shape, I'll leave them. But generally, I'm going to take them down. By the way, back here the mirrors and things like that in bathrooms. I forgot to mention that. Okay. So in any case, that's pretty much how we walk through the property. That's the inspection report. Now what I want to do is move over to the rehab analysis form. But before I do, let me bring my panel back over and look for questions, okay? So hang on one second here. What happened here? Did we get knocked off? Shit. Okay, in session. Where am I here? Close. I'm not sure where. Well, here we are. Hang on one second. Okay, sorry guys, lost my place. Back to where I need to be. All right. So real quick, let me check for questions here, and then we'll go into the next form. Let's see. Okay, Robert's asking, are you in SoCal next week? So Robert, next week. So real quick, Robert, to your question, I will be next week. Hang on one second. Let me give you the schedule here. Okay, so Robert, on Monday I'll be in Yorba Linda, 1 p.m. Tuesday the 26th, Glendora, 1 p.m. Studio City the 27th, 11 a.m. And Simi Valley on the 28th. That's way up, way far from you. On the 28th at 10 a.m. And then that's it for that week. So let me get back here real quick. This exact topic discussion I've been needing to go over. Thank you for walking through this topic, Gary. Hey, Andrew Story, long time no see, buddy. How you doing? Hey, Andrew, if you want a strategy call, make sure you're setting up. I know you're up in Michigan, your dad's in Texas and all that, but I'm glad you like this. Let's see, I can still see and hear you, not your computer screen. Okay, hang on. For some reason, the computer screen blanked out there. Now I see why you guys are giving me those comments. I apologize. Okay, there we go. Now you're back. Okay. All right, I think we're okay now. Okay, good. So let's do this. That was the inspection report there. Okay, and you've all got this on the My Investment Services website. Now what I want to do is go to the rehab form. So all we're doing here, guys, is this. We're literally taking everything from our information form and putting it on the rehab analysis form. All right, we're literally going to plug these things in. Okay, like here you go. Right, appliances. Oops, I think I went too far, too fast. There we go. Appliances. You know what we're doing to the bedroom. By the way, I like to see this in two different forms. One form is the we call it's room by room, like what we're doing room by room. So for master bedroom, I would spell out carpet, paint, closet door, doorknob, what have you. All right, and add that up. The other form I like to see for my contractors is the component form. In other words, how much paint for the overall project and the cost of the labor for the paint. How much in wiring, how much in plumbing for the overall project. And then what I do is I cross-foot that back to the individual room view. All right, so for bedrooms, you're not going to see plumbing, obviously, for example, but you will see plumbing, in your bathrooms and kitchens and things like that. Okay, so I like to see both views. Now, what I do is I actually take these forms and I present them to my contractor. So I always get minimum 2 bids. You should really get 3. I've been doing this a long time, so I'm okay with 2, but I think you should get 3 bids every single time you do this, right? In any case, I asked them for both views. I want to see the room by room estimate, and I want to see the component by component estimate, okay? And what that does is gives me a number of different viewpoints from different contractors from different perspectives. And the reason I like to do this is I don't always like have my contractors bid against each other. That's really not what I do. What I'm doing is I'm looking for better ideas than what I had. Or maybe contractor A's got a better idea than contractor B on how to do the kitchen countertop, for example. I'm really selecting my contractors based on my track record with them and their availability, all right? Because I don't want to be sitting around on a flip waiting month after month. I want to get that thing remodeled and back on the market like today, and I want my money back tomorrow, right? And your clients are going to want the same thing. In any case, so we take this this view here and add everything up, and everything is in here, guys. Plumbing, electrical, roofing, windows, the whole 9 yards. Everything is in here with subtotals and grand totals. Okay, so here's your grand total here down here. This is our game plan. This form here. In fact, I'll show you one more. So hang on one second. Where have I got one I can show you? All right, let me show you one more thing here. There's a great summary sheet. Hopefully I can find it here very quickly. Oops, hang on one second. Let me go here. Should be down here shortly. I want to show you another form I like. Okay, let's go in here. Flipping for profits. Here we go. Workbook final. All right, so hang on to your seats, guys. I just want to go into this document and show you what I'm talking about. All right, it's a great summary sheet. So you take all the data from your information form and your rehab analysis form, and you're going to go into here. All right, come on, computer. Well, editing. It's going to take me a second to find it. Flipping process with the risk. Okay, that form is, I think it's a module 2. I'll know as soon as I see it. But this is oh, I just passed it. Or maybe I didn't. Hang on one second. Nope, didn't pass it yet. Okay, so down here, whoops. And this is in your material, by the way. You've all got this available to you, what I'm getting ready to show you. It's a great rehab summary sheet. And it breaks things down component by component and gives you a total on the right and a total at the bottom. Okay. As long as I can get to it. Let's see. Oop, I think I'm getting close here. All right, let me try one more. Hang on one second. Go back here and go to the book. Flipping for profits, formatted. Let's just do this view here. All right, I know it's in the book. I think you've also got it in your investor agent material too. Okay, so let's let this thing catch up here. All right, here we go, Wilkesboro. That's the one I want to show you. Here it is right here. All right, I apologize, it's not in a horizontal or landscape view, but I think it's what we're getting as you see here, all the components, right? Let's see, what's this one? 10-year shingles on roofing, flat 10-year shifts, a flat roof. We can see what it costs per square foot. We can see the total component cost for the lot, and the total goes over here. At the bottom, you add everything up. Okay, I love this form because you can see this project was a $28,119 project, and that project, by the way, I remember it clearly. I got it within $100 of the projection. So, in any case, I wanted to show you that because back here, all of this information, these are your sheets to keep. You provide them to your contractors. But that summary sheet I just showed you, the one back over here, right? You should get something like this from your contractors, okay? Don't let them get away with just giving you a ballpark figure or giving you on a cocktail napkin or something like that. It needs to be spelled out line item by line item by line item for every single thing in the project. This is the part, guys, where I see people either make it or break it when it comes to flipping. Quite frankly, if you don't have the details specific enough, what that means is somebody somewhere is going to be guessing on materials or labor, and that usually does not work in your favor. Usually it ends up being more expensive, okay? So the more detailed you are, the more specific you are, and these tools allow you to do that. the more accurate your projection is going to be, and the more successful you'll be. You'll quite frankly be closer to your projections and be more profitable. Now, having said all that, many of you are agents working with investors. You definitely want to share this with your agents and give this to them, okay? And for yourself, you definitely want to use this for yourself. It'll save you a ton of time, effort, and energy and money. Allow you to be more accurate in your projections and more successful. Spend less time rethinking things, redoing things, which happens a lot in flipping, unfortunately, and more time looking for the good deals and making your money, okay? So anyways, let me check for questions here real quick. Let's see. That was Andrew Story's subject. Thank you, Andrew, for that. Okay, this is Raymond. Raymond's asking, how do you find your contractors? Good ones are hard to find. So Raymond, good question. What I recommend, guys, is this: is wherever you are, you've typically got a local investors club or one within, say, a half-hour's drive. RIA is the big kahuna right now. RIA means, it stands for REIA, Real Estate Investors of America. I suggest you join. I mean, you'll learn a little bit from them, and you may even get some clients from them. But those investors are generally going to be the no money down owner financing, basically broke people. However, you can often find good contractors in that group. And what I would do, Raymond, for everybody here listening and watching, normally let you go to one meeting for free, okay? And then if you decide to join, it's like $15 a month or something. It's usually not that expensive, all right? And then what you want to do is start networking and asking people who do they use and who would they recommend. And by the way, some contractors will actually set up a booth at each meeting. Lenders will be there, insurance companies will be there, sometimes appraisers, inspectors, attorneys, lenders, the whole night, everybody will be there. So what you want to do is just take your time and get some feedback from multiple people. When you see 2 or 3 contractors surface continuously or consistently as being highly recommended, then those are the ones you want to go with, okay? But still, do your due diligence and check them out. Invite them to one of your projects and let them make a bid on it, okay? So Raymond, that's really the best way to go about it, is join a local group. And eventually, by the way, I want you to start your own group, okay? So back to this. Let's go to the next question. I don't have the building experience you have. I couldn't walk through a home and pick things out like you do. I would be totally out of my mind to try to do this. So in this case, hang on one second. In this case, do you hire and work with an inspector or what? Suggestions? Do you recommend starting your own construction company? Fassel, good to see you, buddy. So Fassel, excellent question. What I did early on, guys, is I'm sorry, that was Robert Uslake. Sorry, Robert. Fassel's right after you. So Robert, back to your question. Here's what I did early on. On my first 3 properties that I bought for myself, I did pay for an inspector. I had an inspector come in with me, and I said, here's what I want to do. I want to crawl around the ground with you in my jeans and boots and sweatshirt, or overalls, better yet, and I want you to show me every single thing you're doing, okay? By the time I got through the 3rd inspection, I felt way more comfortable, Robert, okay? Now at the time, I wasn't able to price things out and do estimates and things like that. However, that's okay, because what I found out was if you go to your contractor's desk at your local building supply house, typically it's going to be Lowe's or Home Depot. Those are the 2 big ones in the U.S. and Canada. They'll often give you estimates on those lists themselves. They'll give you a contract estimate on that. And sometimes they'll recommend contractors too. So twofold, Robert. Number one is I did pay for an inspector myself early on, and I learned the ropes, and then I basically built my forms based on what they showed me. And I went through, and I always did this. If I was ever uncertain, I would always err on the side of caution. So if I wasn't sure about a furnace, I would assume the furnace had to be replaced, okay? Now that's part one. Part two is everybody here listening, if it was a really good enough project and I was pretty close, I was going to pull the trigger, but I wanted that certainty, I would actually pay a HVAC contractor to come inspect the furnace itself and give me their 2 cents worth. Um, and often it may cost me $100, but boy, is it worth $100 to do that. So that's another thing I would do, Robert, is when I get to do my own walkthroughs, anything I wasn't certain of, I would bring in that particular expert. I would bring in a plumber, bring in an HVAC guy to give me their specific 2 cents worth on that specific component. Now, what I recommend for my clients, guys, is this. There's a lot of gurus out there saying you don't have to pay for an inspector, just go through and do this. I really want my clients to have an inspection, at least in the beginning of their investing business, because then I know that they're getting they're learning how to look at things like a faucet or a refrigerator or a hot water tank. Number one. Number two is they get a better feel for the business itself and how they estimate things. I just think it's good business to do that. It's safer for them, and quite frankly, you and I have a better shot of earning commissions and having long-term clients. So, a great question, by the way, Robert, and thank you for asking that. Okay, so this is Faisal. Hey, Faisal. Gary, do you recommend starting your own construction company? I don't. I tell you what, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, Faisal, and here's why. I have worked with agents in the past that I've taught, and they went on to start their own construction company, and they were the general contractor, the GC, and they would basically pay themselves, 10% of the overall project, with a minimum of like $5,000, for example. The thing is the contracting, like the maintenance and repairs, the rehab, the contracting, is probably the one area of the business, guys, that causes us the greatest headaches. And there's often people have they felt like they got ripped off. There's bad feelings. There's bad blood, and I don't want that myself personally. And the fact is if somebody ever files a complaint against us, and you were their agent, and you also ran the rehab, man, the courts could really rake you through the coals, because you're all of a sudden you're like in total control, and this poor little consumer didn't know what was going on. I mean, that I can tell you that's exactly what's going to happen. So I don't recommend it. What I do recommend is, if you really want to do that, Faisal, is set up a separate company. You can own the company, but have someone else run it and manage it for you. Now, you have to disclose that you're the owner. You can't not disclose that. But what you can say is, I own this construction company, but someone else is a general contractor, and they do that. I don't even do that. The only time I did anything like that, Faisal, was in my property management company. I would make available my own crews to do maintenance and repairs when the owners asked for it. Okay, we had a full-time employee just do basic light maintenance and repairs, but everything else was contracted out to the contracting companies, the contractors, the building companies. And even though those guys work for me on a regular basis, I did disclose that, but I didn't get anything from that. I didn't profit from that referral. Okay, so I think you'll see the same kind of thing out there if you go and do that. Or let's see, this is another question. This is from Shannon. Hey, Shannon Goldsmith, how you doing? Hey, Shannon, guess where I'm going to be here in a couple hours? I'm actually going to your market center to meet another student. Okay, so from an investor agent perspective, do you ever get any pushback from investors when you have them do their own work, like going through the MLS listings, narrowing down, driving numbers, et cetera? How do you respond to investors who think you should do that work for them? Thank you. Good question. So, Shannon, if you attract existing investors, most cases they will give you some pushback. What I do is this: I'll say, look, I'm a professional investor agent. This is what I do for my living. I'm more than happy to serve you any level you want to be served. What the reality is I want you, the consumer, to make educated decisions on your purchases. And the only way I can make sure I'm able to do that is to make sure you're part of that process. So I'm more than happy to go out. So Shannon, I find the inventory, no doubt about it. I do my work, get the inventory for them, but I don't want to be their eyes. Like, I want them to do the drive-bys, because everybody has different viewpoints. So I might do a drive-by, come up with the final 6 properties, only to find out that they don't like any of them because they don't like the neighborhood. So that's really the other reason why I have them get involved is I want to make sure they are comfortable with the neighborhoods they're buying. That's why we have them do the drive-bys. And then when it comes time to doing the analysis on the properties, Shannon, The fact is my job as a realtor is to help them buy and sell properties, to locate the properties and either buy them or sell them if they're selling. But my job is not a contractor. My job is not to go through and do the physical analysis of the property. If they don't want to do it themselves, they should have an inspector come do it. But that's not. If I would tell you this, I have done that, Shannon, but I also charge a consulting fee for doing that. All right, because that's over and above the normal call of duty for an agent. Now, if I have investors who are adamant about it, I'll just politely let them go because that's putting you at risk, by the way. So let's say you do that, and then they buy the property based on you did all this legwork, and then 6 months later they say, you know what, that was a bad deal. That really sucked. I'm mad. I'm gonna file a complaint against you. And it goes up to a hearing board, and then the hearing board's going to say, wait a second, what did you do? You're supposed to advise, console, and guide to provide them information, inventory, and stuff like that, and the tools they need, but you're in no way, shape, or form are supposed to actually do a physical analysis on a rehab project. That's not what we're supposed to do, number one. Number two is if they say they made a decision because your homework determined it was a good deal, they're going to construe that as meaning you made a decision for the consumer, and that'll get you in a lot of hot water. So that's really the big why, Shannon. So what I recommend you do is use some of the marketing we teach you and attract new or newer investors that you can condition to work under these guidelines, and you'll find yourself being way more successful. And I will tell you myself, guys. I mean, tell me what you think about this. I'm an investor too. I would never risk my hard-earned money with a regular agent because my role as an agent is to find the inventory and to sell the inventory. But I don't want to have them making my decisions or doing my analysis on what type of refrigerator I should use, what type of carpeting I should use. Now, I'll take their 2 cents worth. If they say, hey, Gary, 3 houses sold in this neighborhood and they use $37 a yard carpet and they used a Sub-Zero $2,000 refrigerator, and that's what sold those properties, then I will take that into consideration, and I might do that. But I don't want to have my realtor tell me what I should be doing rehab wise because that's not their role. Number one is number two is they might not really know. So in any case, when I'm investing, I want to make those decisions myself. I want to do the walkthrough and look at the property myself. And by the way, one more thing, Shannon. The way we go about this is we're not having them go do 50 drive-bys and do analysis on 25 properties. The process we have in place, you'll see this in module 2, is to provide the inventory, do desktop analysis first. So we narrow it down first on our computer, desktop analysis. And then they only look at the drive-bys of the ones that we already know will make sense financially speaking. Then out of the drive-bys, they tell you, we want to look at these 6. Out of the 12 we drove by, we want to look at these 6. Then we make the appointments to show them those 6 properties, and we do go through with them, but they're gonna fill out the forms. I'm not filling out the rehab forms for them. That's a separate part of the business. So in any case, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but Shannon, you and I will work that together. We'll do some strategy calls, and we can even do. Matter of fact, guys, if you want to do this, give me a show of hands, guys. Type in your question box. Would you like to do some role playing on 1 or 2 of these strategy calls? As a group, we can do role playing. I've done it with FASA before. I've done role playing with a number of people over the years. If you want to do that, let's do that on one of these calls, and we can certainly do that. So let me know if that's what you'd like to do, Shannon and everyone else. By the way, Shannon, that great question, excellent question. Okay, this is from Andrew Story. Hey, Andrew. All right, so let's see. Andrew is asking, for personal investment flips, do you recommend a GC crew rather than you fixing things yourself in regards to time equaling money? Yeah, Andrew, right on, brother. I don't do my own work. Years ago, when I was building up a big portfolio of rentals in the beginning, I would go in on the weekends and fix stuff myself. I mean, I wouldn't do heavy duty jobs, but I actually am able to install new electrical circuits, panels, and even the service line coming down from the weather. I actually can do all that. I don't like plumbing. Whenever I do plumbing, it usually ends up being a big wet mess. But I learned over the years, Andrew, even though I can do a lot of those things, like I'm a great carpenter, it's worth it for me to pay people to do that. let them do that. If that's all they do and they focus on it, let them do that, which means you can focus on being the rainmaker and identifying the properties that you're going to make your money on. So you be the investor and let them be the contractor. That's my recommendation. Okay, let's see. Next from Shannon. Awesome. The connection cut out quite a bit, but I think I got the most of it. Thanks very much. You're welcome, Shannon. If you're hanging around there in the office there, I'll be there in a couple hours. Let's see. I think a lot of you are saying, yes, let's do role playing. Okay, what I'll do, guys, is I'll put something together for us, and we'll do some role playing coming up here in the next couple of weeks. Let's see, any other questions? I think we're actually caught up, guys. I think we did it. My golly, it's 5:01. How about that? Okay, guys, I'll tell you what. Normally I'll do this session. We did tonight about once a year. It always brings up some good questions, and I hope this helps you a lot. What I want you to do is just practice this. So Shannon, back to your question, I do think you should know how to do this because I want you to be able to support your clients, okay? Because they're going to have questions, so you definitely want to learn this stuff, all right? Plus, it's going to help you do your own personal investing. Okay, guys, I've got to do a Facebook Live webinar, then I've got to drive in from Northridge all the way into Beverly Hills and go to the Beverly Hills office. So I will see you on next week. Next week's webinar, by the way, is going to be on Wednesday again. I'll be doing it from Simi Valley, same time, same 4 p.m. California time next week, and maybe we'll do some role playing on that one there. In any case, in the meantime, God bless you and your families. You guys take care of yourselves, and I will see you out there next time. Okay, take care and God bless. Bye-bye.